Good evening, everyone. It is Draft for Upside. I am finally back. It is week 3, way too early preview. What we used to call first sip?
I don't know what it was.
I don't know, but this beer did not pop properly, and so this is off to a disastrous start. I'm Johnny Danger, of course, with me, Brewery Mark and Mr. Emmerich. How are you guys?
Great.
I'm doing good. I think I'm going to change my handle though. I've developed a name, and I'm gonna put it in here now.
I think that's a good idea. I am excited for the new Star Wars show that launched today. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm eagerly awaiting it from Jabba's palace here shortly. I went to fly my Rebel Alliance flag, and Katie took down my flagpole holder thing, man, and I'm just bummed. Mark, are you excited for this show, or are you just, Mark,
I want a Rebel Alliance flag is what I want.
Right? Did you see my flag?
Yeah, I did.
It's a very nice flag.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for this show, and I'm glad from what I read that they released the first 3 episodes, because I guess the first 2 are all set up, so the third one's where it really gets good.
I dig it, man. I'm going to watch it when we're done talking football today. So you just changed your name to the Hierarchy, Chris. Explain this.
The hierarchy?
Yeah, Hierarchy. That's fine.
Well, the hierarchy is like, look, dude, there's just there are levels to this, man, and sometimes the hierarchy is out there to get you, and you can't mess with the hierarchy.
No, you don't. You don't mess with the hierarchy. You know what else you don't mess with? Amon-Ra St. Brown's production. I'm going to admit I was wrong, and I'm going to get on board, which means he'll probably fall flat on his face in week 3 against Minnesota.
Well, I mean, he had a career game. You're not going to, I doubt you'll see many of them again, but I mean, he set a couple of records. He tied the record for 8 straight games with 8 catches, and 6 straight games with a touchdown. So that's
well,
nice.
And over the first 2 weeks of the season. Now look, it's only 2 weeks. Come on, it's only 2 weeks. But Minnesota also has given up the second most receptions to actual wide receivers. Are we excited about this game? Is this going to be a trap game, Chris?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I think the excitement is justified on this. It's one of the highest totals on the board. This is a game I might even actually go slightly overlooked, because I don't think it's the first place people want to go. But by that, I mean, it's probably like the second or third place that most people want to go. But
the Lions are hype for sure. But, I think actually Cousins playing like crap last week will help maybe move some eyes off that side.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw a couple breakdowns of a couple of the interceptions, and, they weren't all on him. Right. There was one where it was Jefferson in the end zone, and Jefferson continued with a route instead of breaking over like he should have. And had he broke over where he should have, that's where, the defensive back was. So can't put it all on Kirk, but I think we knew that primetime Kirk was going to come out and play, and he sure did. But this is not a primetime game. This is against Detroit. Detroit's defense has shown nothing besides 2 quarters. And Minnesota's favored by 6. It's 1 o'clock. Minnesota home game. This has blowout written or not blowout, but blow up potential written all over it. And I think that's going to be the case with these 2 teams. As long as their offenses are clicking, which both of them are, and their defenses are not, you're always going to get these situations with these teams. And this predates this year for Minnesota, but it's a very new thing for Detroit.
Yeah, I think this is your classic bounce back game for Minnesota. So I'm looking to stack a lot of this game.
So the Lions have given up a lot of yards. They're giving up the most in the NFL running back looks in the red zone and running back touchdowns in the red zone. It's been an off 2 weeks for running backs. I mean, the justification of 0 RB in seasonal football is there. I think there's only 5 running backs in the top 25 of positional players scoring so far this year. Paying up for running back has not worked, but are you going right back to the well with Dalvin Cook?
I think that you can. I mean, I think there are lots of parts of this offense that are going to be overlooked. I mean, obviously, Adam Thielen was invisible for a good part of that game with almost no targets. You got to think that he bounces back at some point. He's going to be very touchdown dependent. But to your question, I mean, Dalvin Cook, I think, ran like 17 routes. He was on the field for 88% of the snaps. He's super expensive, though. I mean, even for Dalvin Cook, like, this is not a guy that, I don't know, blows up all that often. His range of outcomes is I mean, he doesn't have a huge ceiling, I guess is what I'm saying, that he hits often. I mean, we've seen a couple of these 20, 24-point games, but outside of that, there's very few that are in that like 29 to 30 range. It happens, just not very frequently. I'm counting what, like 5 or you have to go back into 2020 before you start seeing them a little bit more often. Last year, not so much. Obviously, we know the story this year, so it's hard pressed.
Are they going to pull it off, Mark? You're the biggest Lions homer I know.
Oh, the Lions? No. I think Minnesota's going to take this. When we talked preseason, I picked Minnesota to win the division and Lions to come in second. So I think this is a game. If it was in Detroit, they might have a chance. But I think on the road in Minnesota's going to win this game.
I am curious just to see what kind of ownership you see on Dalvin Cook, and what the consensus is. Again, he's expensive. He hasn't shown much, but man, against Detroit, like, it's just such a sweet spot, right?
Yeah, I'm just kind of flipping through some odd stuff here. I mean, obviously, both teams are giving up huge amounts of points. Both teams have been crazy in the fourth quarter. I don't typically play a lot of Lions, but I might change my tune this week. Although, man, those guys are dropping balls. I mean, specifically DJ Chark is dropping balls.
Yep, he's got the drop skis.
He's got the drop skis.
I mean, he always has. I don't know. You've always had this kind of weird affinity for him, Danger.
He's tall.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I think you drafted him on a seasonal team. He had a good week 1, like with Gardner Minshew a couple of years ago, and then since then you've just you like a junkie chasing a high. You've continued to try and manifest this DJ Chark thing. And the problem is that there have been people that enabled you, and I've tried to get you into rehab. I've tried to get you away from this, but he's fucked up enough.
He's my Michael Gallup, but not talented.
Yeah, but look, here's the thing, man. Like, so like Jason Braddock and all these other guys have tried to like enable you. They've brought you the stuff, and they've allowed you to get high on this. And I've tried to get you into rehab and get you clean. And then you know what? I just broke down last week. And I started doing DJ Chark lines with you, okay? And look, it didn't end up good. I woke up. There's no money in my wallet. My clothes were off. I was in an alley.
It was bad.
I might go back to it though. Like I've got the withdrawal going.
Personally, I think you should.
But I think if you are stacking this game and that is the way that you want to attack it, you'd be hard pressed not to play him in a couple of stacks.
For sure.
Same thing with like Josh Reynolds and KJ Osborne. Those are other guys that.
Yeah. And I think you have to play Jamal Williams, man. I mean, the guy looks good, and he's getting used. And
he's just super touchdown dependent, though.
He is, but like Swift also likes to miss huge chunks of games, getting banged up, and if that happens, whoo, baby.
Yeah, but the problem with Jamal Williams is not like that he's not a good player. It's just he doesn't see the field nearly enough. We're talking 20 snaps, 21 and 23 the last 2 weeks. That's with some injury concern. He's just not going to get the 100-yard bonus. You really need him to get in the end zone, and he's already hit that like 2-touchdown game that I just don't see it happening again. So I don't know. That's a little bit too deep for me. That's a little time traveler shit. I'm not going to get into. So,
all right. Well, you brought up Jason Braddock. I did the Houston Football Report with him last night. If you watched, it was a great show. And let's go to the Houston Texans taking on the Chicago Bears. They stay here in the NFC North. This is probably a game I don't play anything in except for maybe Monty. I'm done with Chicago's pass players. I mean, I'm done with it. These are two of the slowest teams, the least amount of plays teams, the lowest scoring teams. But here's the deal. I'm in on Monty, though. All right. He's averaging 95 yards a game for like the last 2 seasons. And the Texans are averaging giving up 170 all-purpose yards to running backs per game. I think Monty's a must-play this week for me.
What's his price?
Like 5,900.
I mean, must play is really strong language coming out of you. I don't think he's a must play. I think you can glance at him, but like, I think the problem, and it felt like you were going to ask about this game, and we were just going to move right past it, is that there's just not enough scoring that's going to be involved in this game that I really want to, grab any more than one piece. Maybe it's Monty. Maybe it's on the other side, Damian Pierce at 5,000.
5,000.
Stack
them both. That's some cheap running back equity right there.
Brandon Cooks, Darnell Mooney, maybe one of these guys, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want any further than pulling one guy. There's another game on the slate that we're going to talk about that I think the offense feels the same way. Like, you just can never really pull more than one piece. And like, I don't know, man, like a 40 over under, I'm out in this game.
Anything to add there, Mr. Mark?
No, I'm completely off this game. I don't see myself rostering any players from either team.
I'm going to take that back. I think Brandon Cooks at 5,800, getting 10 targets last week, 12 targets the week before, only catching 4 balls last week is kind of the concerning part, but he's not typically a 40% catch rate kind of guy. So, if you bump that up to like a 70%, which is kind of like league average for his level of play, and you put that at, I mean, that's 14 points. He's at 5,800. If he gets any more than that, I think you're okay. So Brandon Cooks is somebody you can consider at that 5,800 range. It's a good price.
All right, let's go on and get off the low-scoring game and go back to something that might have a little bit more fireworks. How about we jump over to the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills? Is this going to be over-owned after Tua's incredible game last week?
Oh, yeah. This is going to be over-owned on both sides. You're going to have a ton of Buffalo stacks, a ton of Miami stacks. This and deservedly so. This will be the most highly owned game in DFS this weekend. But one of the problems is I was actually experimenting with it today. Is it's very hard to stack a lot of these players. The prices are up there, and especially on Buffalo's side, So it's gonna be interesting builds, but I think it's gonna be super chalky.
So is it just too cute to just go build like Singletary and pull him out of this game and just play him? Is that too cute?
Yeah, I don't know if that's where I want to go. I mean, he looked like he had a pretty nice control of the backfield in the first game, but that was as a result of some fumbles and some misplays by the other guys, and it just didn't seem like that against Tennessee. But just kind of hard to even gather anything from that game, right? Like, they were just so far out in front that like they didn't even play the fourth quarter. So I don't know. I think Jalen Waddle's my favorite play here.
Yeah, you get a good discount from Tyreek Hill, and it actually allows you to, if you want to do a mini stack on Buffalo side and run back Waddle, you can make it work.
Well, and Waddle is their red zone guy. I mean, Hill's the 20-20. Waddle's the guy down low. So I like Waddle.
Well, it's a little bit of both. I saw a breakdown, and somebody kind of explained this and made it make sense, is that, one of the things that the Dolphins are doing is they're running like 5 wide receiver sets, but with 21 personnel. So, they have like 2 tight ends, a running back. And when those guys get out on the field, the defense has to respond to it. They haven't lined up yet. So they're going to run their, the bigger package with more linebackers. And then what ends up happening is that, Waddle and Tyreek then just have absolutely just these huge gaps because they can beat the linebackers, they can beat the coverage, and it's just a big problem. Tua still sucks. Like, it's just how good these wide receivers are and what a nightmare that they create for the opposing team, on top of the motion and other things that McDaniel's offense is doing. So it's going to. I think that this Dolphins team is going to be an exciting offense. And I wouldn't, if you're playing 3 or 4 lineups, I don't think you need to have a piece of this game in every single one of them. It is a divisional game. They both have good defenses. I can see this game falling below expectations, still scoring some points, but not so many that you want to have like 3 or 4 pieces. Again, pick and choose your spot and hope that it doesn't blow up. That was kind of like a top 1% outcome in that game with Miami and Baltimore. And look, I think that happens more often in this one than it did in that one, but this game fails more than enough given what I anticipate the ownership to be.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of interesting moves out of their backfield. I mean, they're trying to get Mostert more involved because Edmonds just isn't a full down back, but they both kind of play a similar game. I mean, Mostert can do a little bit more run through the tackles. At least he could back in the day. They're both kind of just quick catch the ball running backs. And if you keep pulling 2 tight ends out, split them out, you're right, man. That's difficult to cover. And it basically kind of leaves Waddle and Hill in one-on-one situations a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw a lot of those passes. They weren't good passes. They were just so wide open because they're so fast and the holes that they're getting into the coverage. So it'll be interesting to see, how this Buffalo defense, which has been able to get a ton of pressure, which I think is going to be problematic for Miami. But like, do they get out to a big lead? And if they do, you're going to see kind of the same thing I think that you saw this past week, where the defense starts to lighten up. And I don't know why defenses do this in the NFL. Like, consistently, it happens all the time. Like, why not play the same way? Yeah, I get it. They've made adjustments on the other side, but why not continue doing what you're doing? Like, it is so predictable like that. Even in games like the Lions game, you knew the Commanders were going to make a comeback, right? Like, you knew this wasn't going to be like a 30-0 or a 30-7. This was going to be way closer in the second half than it needed to be. I saw some people in certain Discords were like, I told you this was going to happen as a Commanders fan. Yeah, no shit. Everybody knew this was going to fucking happen. You weren't some type of genie that was opening up your time traveling vault to say the Commanders are coming back. Like, literally everybody thought that. That's even the Lions thought it. And that's going to be the same type of situation here, that if Buffalo gets out to 2 or 3 scores, Miami at least has the firepower to get back into it. Tennessee did not and does not and did not. So I don't know. This could be this could be one of those situations where you need to have all the pieces, but I'd rather just play a little piece or none and hope that this is like a divisional battle. And I don't think it will be. But.
Sure. I mean, at the ownership levels, Mark, I mean, and the pricing levels, you could just skip it. You could just skip it and hope that it's 21-24 pedestrian football game.
And what I would say in like a large GPP, the play that you might want to do there is like a Mostert play. Just like you maybe like a Mostert, run it back with Diggs or Dawson Knox. But like I think the Mostert part of it, he's at 4,500. He's the clear red zone back. He's the guy that's going to get goal line carries if they ever get that close. They really don't very often because most of the touchdowns are 60 and 70 yards, right? But Mostert can break a 70-yard run. So there's, I'm not investing a lot in this. I'm not playing this in single entry or high dollar, but like a Millie Maker, a $3 play action or whatever the hell that thing's called. Plugging in some Mostert there gives you a little money for your Mostert. 4,500.
Fair. All right, let's keep moving. Let's go to Baltimore Ravens and the Patriots. So that was the other side of that big Miami Baltimore game, right? They're going and they're going to go to Patriots. They're going to go to Patriots. They're going to go to Foxborough and play the Patriots. They are not the defense of the Patriots of old, so far this year at least. They're okay. They're probably a better, at least, fantasy defense than Baltimore has been. Is Baltimore going to be too owned, Mark, for what they will be able to do against the Patriots? Will this be a slower paced game? The Patriots are not the Dolphins. They are not capable of putting up 30 points in a quarter.
I mean, it will be a little slower paced, but I really see Baltimore kind of taking control of this game. Lamar is at the top of my list for quarterbacks this week, especially in cash. He's been my cash quarterback for the first 2 weeks and won me lots of money, so I'm going to just keep riding that while I can.
Yeah.
And, he gives you the dual threat. I don't see where the Patriots are going to be able to really stop him much. It's another good spot for Mark Andrews. And I kind of see this being a little lopsided.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think you can. The thing about Lamar is that he's been completely involved in almost every single touchdown. I mean, they're not running the ball in because they have like no depth at running back that's healthy, which is crazy considering that they had this problem last year and they really did very little to address it. But I guess this one concerns me more than the Dolphins game last week. Like I saw a path. I didn't think that it would happen quite the way that it did, but that was something that I saw in the range of outcomes. I don't think that New England can press this game to a level where Baltimore's scoring 30 or 40 points. And that's almost what you need for Lamar, especially at his inflated price here. And there are quarterbacks in better positions. Is he going to break an 80-yard run? I don't think so. I kind of just pick and choose again. This isn't necessarily one where I really want to stack because I just don't think that there's anything coming back. I will say that, Jacoby Myers is a guy that we kind of highlighted a little bit in the preseason shows, talking about a guy that probably didn't get enough love. And I talked about it in one of the Discords, the Dr. Roto Discord, where I just think he's continually undervalued. And this guy got 13 targets last week, caught the ball 9 times, great for an ad in a deep PPR league or the ability to move off, but also a guy that you can put into a DFS lineup at 5,000. If he does score that touchdown, that second touchdown of his career, I think he only has one. You're probably gold because he's going to have 7 or 8 catches. Yeah. He's going to have 70 yards, and that's not going to get you there by itself. But that touchdown is just going to take him over the top. And shit, if he can get 100 yards, man, you are feeling really good. Like really,
yeah. The Ravens are having a hard time tackling this year. They're like the worst NFL team so far through 2 weeks in tackling. So there is a chance for a couple of big plays here. I just think people are going to look at the amount of points Lamar put up last week. They're going to look at Bateman. They're going to look at this team, and they're going to play it. And I just don't think that this is a 50-point plus game. I think this is a 44, 45-point game. So
what are we at?
I could play Lamar
at 43.5.
There you go. I could play Lamar naked here. I could play just Lamar and move on. But you could do that any week. It doesn't matter who he plays. But I'm not overly interested in this game unless, like a Myers or somebody as a single cheap one-off. All right, let's keep moving, guys. Let's move on to let's go to the Saints. Let's go to the Saints and the Panthers. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about Jameis Winston playing with 4 fractured vertebrae. What's up with that? And I'm a guy who picked up Hill in a few fantasy leagues simply because, again, he's qualified at tight end. And if the worst should happen and he starts splitting snaps with, Andy Dalton, the backup there, having somebody that can put up quarterback points in a tight end spot is there. It's okay in a seasonal. But man, I don't know. I don't know. We really were trying to will DJ Moore into something good last week, and we were really hoping. Is this a flop lag week, Chris?
I mean, DJ Moore didn't have a terrible week. He just didn't have a lot of volume. He scored.
We talk about flop lag a lot, right? The poker term where you get ace queen and it completely is a terrible hand for you, and then the next hand it flops ace queen queen. Is this a Carolina flop lag week?
Man, I don't know. I mean, a divisional game. This Carolina team has looked terrible on offense, and I don't know if I can see this changing this week. I mean, they might have their time, but I'm going to have to see a significant shift before I go all in again. But look, there are pieces in this game that are all like mildly priced. You've got Michael Thomas at 5,900, DJ Moore at 5,600, and Chris Olave, who's probably going to have just absolutely insane ownership at 4,500. I mean, I guess I'm curious. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be on him, like 334 air yards. just absolutely insane. 13
Crazy numbers.
targets, like,
Crazy
but he's
numbers.
still 4,500 because the algorithm hasn't caught up because he didn't actually catch those balls.
Right.
So, but like, I mean, let's.
Did
let's
you go back
assume
and look at that? Was that poor accuracy in the passing? Was that drop passes? Was that good coverage? Did you look at any of that? Targets and air yards?
No, not at all. But let's say this. Let's say an average catch rate is between 60 and 70%, or like a good catch rate. So even at a 50 catch rate, let's put that into like seven catches. If he gets 7 catches, I mean, I would be hard pressed to believe that he's anywhere under 50 yards in receiving yards. That puts you right at 12 points. That gives you a really strong floor. I guess what you have to worry about is whether or not you see him end up with like 3 targets as he did the week before. But I think that was a little bit of a, I don't know. Like, the Panthers defense has not looked very good. They didn't necessarily give up a lot of points to the Giants, but I think that was more a byproduct of the Giants offense not looking very good. They converted on a lot of field goals. They moved the ball, just weren't able to, convert for a touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, again, this is a place where you can take a couple of those points. It's not one where I'm starting on either of these, but they are fill-in guys.
Yeah, I'm just looking through this, list of random stats for the year, and the Panthers' run defense is good. The Saints have completely so far the first 2 games abandoned throwing to the running back. So I don't know if is Kamara going to be healthy this week? Are they going to throw the ball to a running back? I don't know. Michael Thomas looked pretty good last week. For a guy who I didn't know if wanted to play football 2 weeks ago, he looked pretty damn good last week.
8 targets week 1, 9 targets week 2, 5,900. I mean, when you're talking about like putting together lineups on DraftKings, like, it is so important to get some of these high volume wide receivers that are going to get a lot of opportunities and turn them into catches, because it's just a good base for your points. And while Michael Thomas hasn't recorded double-digit targets, he's close in both weeks. I mean, there were 21 guys last week that got double-digit targets in the NFL. That's up from 15 in week 1. I don't think we see that many, but there are a couple that are consistent there. And Michael Thomas at 8 or 9, 5,900, feels like this guy should be priced up at 7,000, especially because he is the guy that they're looking to in the end zone, in the red zone. I think that there is some chemistry between Jameis and him. They're a little weird. Both of the guys are just strange. Jameis, all-time great interviewer though. Like, I love this guy on camera. It's just he's a pleasure. He's like Zanzara in the LEC. Just, some crazy stuff is going to happen when he's on the TV.
Mark, I mean, Thomas was considered maybe 3 years ago in the topic of the best fantasy wide receiver in football. 5,900. That's a good price, Mark. That's a good price.
Yeah, and I agree with what Cris is saying. Is he's getting the targets, he's getting the volume. At 5,900, he's a great play to add to your lineup. And
even
realistically, my
Hill
favorite
played
play.
at QB a few years back, he still threw the ball to Michael Thomas. So if you're worried about Hill having to come in, if you're worried about Dalton having to come in, Dalton knows how to throw to a number 1.
Yeah, and I don't think anything's wrong with Michael Thomas. He's looking like his old self. I think it's this offense under this new coach and OC that, and it could be Jameis, I don't know, but something's off. I mean, It's like the flip side, Carolina. I mean, we could see our first coaching change here any week now, because Carolina is just terrible and that offense is terrible. And I don't know what they're doing, but they have arguably one of the best running back multi-tool person in McCaffrey, and they're not using them. They're doing all these little, I don't know. It's just weird what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board, and that, I keep looking at this, and I know Olave is going to be overowned, but I don't mind doing a double stack with him and Thomas, Jameis for this game. Sorry, it's not expensive. It's not expensive at all. It's super damn cheap, and you can play around with all kinds of other stuff there. You can run back Robbie Anderson for another cheap player. It's all right. I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. All right, let's keep going. We're going to keep moving here. Let's go Kansas City, Indianapolis Colts. So we thought maybe, just maybe, Matt Ryan would have a little resurgence this year, but it totally looks like that dude is done.
Yeah, I said that in the preseason.
I mean, who did he have to throw to last week? Like,
Oh, that's true.
I mean,
That's true. But I mean, they can't get the ball going with Taylor. They can't move. They can't win against Houston. That defense is not what it was. I don't know, man.
I think that's the biggest problem for this Indianapolis team is missing Leonard is just huge, and the secondary is just not good. And this is going to be a week where it's not going to get any better, right?
No.
Like this Kansas City team is one of the. I mean, they haven't missed a beat. They've obviously, they're missing one of their best weapons from last year, but man, they're still just absolutely loaded. Travis Kelce's podcast with his brother, I watched snippets of it on TikTok, and it's fantastic. He's got a weird personality, but man, he talked about like how he got like the body slam by Derwin James, and he's like, yeah, man, as soon as I went up, and he's like the low man wins, and he got under. And as I was going up, I was just like, man, this isn't going to end well for me, And he's like, then boom. And he's like, Derwin's a nice guy. He came back to me later and he's like, hey, you good? And I'm like, yeah, and I just apologize to all his fantasy owners for not getting in the end zone. So super, super funny guy from that standpoint. He's not taking it too serious. So
I have, I like to play around with lineups the minute DraftKings put everything out there just because I'm that guy. I have really enjoyed putting Mahomes in just by himself and building around it because he's got so many people he's throwing the ball to. I really like this matchup. I'm just kind of looking through here for the first 2 weeks here. We got a 73% completion rate by Mahomes, third best in the league, and a 72% giving up completions by the cornerbacks of the Colts, the third worst in the NFL. I don't want to pick and choose every week which one of these Kansas City wide receivers is going to catch the ball. So I think if you're not going to play Kelce, you can just play Mahomes all day, all by himself.
It's not a bad strategy. Kelce is by far his preferred target,
but you're paying for it. You're putting 7,000 plus in the tight end position, and that's tough.
Yeah,
well, I mean, this is the case though. I know you guys don't always agree with me, but this is where you can play a double tight end because Kelce is a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So you put him in your flex as a wide receiver and play some cheap ass tight end to pay for it.
Yeah, but what I would say is to your point that that's not a bad strategy. It's a really bad strategy actually to play Mahomes by himself. I mean, not for cash. Like it's okay for cash, but if you're looking at win equity and absolute ceilings, you kind of need the wide receiver that he's going to connect with the most. I get it. It's difficult to assess which one it's going to be. And that's what you're getting to. And that's true. Like it's going to be hard. And it's hard to win a GPP, and getting that right is again, that time traveler shit. Picking one or two of those guys and just hoping it's the right one. This might be kind of one of those games where, I like to do 2 or 3 lineups, but then I'll do like a $3 lineup. Okay. And so that $3 lineup will have 20 versions of it, and it'll go in, the 20 max. Maybe you do this and you run Mahomes all 20 times and you run different variations of his wide receiving core. You put like a run back with Pittman or Taylor. You put a little Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe a little of that Chris Olave, Michael Thomas love that you wanted. Don't forget the DJ Moore on the flop leg. And, of course, Jalen Waddle being our favorite play. So you mix and match, and you play it $60. I think you can win 100,000. You're probably not going to do that, but, hey, it's there, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mark and I play more cash-based games anyways. But, I don't – is there anybody on Indianapolis you like besides – running off of Pittman, assuming he plays? I mean, I don't know if I can pay for Taylor's price. It's been brutal paying up for running backs. It's been brutal for all running backs. Let's get that right. There's only been 4 running backs each week that have scored over 14 points. It's been brutal for running backs.
Yeah, in my season longs, I have 4 teams. The one where I drafted running back first, I'm 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 where I went no RB, I'm 2-0.
Right. Yeah, it's been a beautiful 0 RB for seasonal so far.
Yeah.
But do you go ahead and think people are thinking that and load up on a guy like Taylor and a guy like Dalvin Cook this week?
Well, I am a little mad at Dalvin Cook. I had a game where I was completely tied. It was Dalvin Cook versus Derrick Henry. And you would have thought that after, like, if I gave you the first half of the Titans game and where it was at, you probably would have thought that I would have won. I didn't. I lost by 3 points. I lost my other league by like 2 points and crushed my other ones. But I don't know. I mean, I think you can always play Taylor because he's one of those guys that has a realistic probability or high probability in context to other people of getting 2 touchdowns.
Sure.
If they get inside the 5-6 yard line, he's probably going to get a crack, 2 cracks, 3 cracks. The other guy that I played a ton of last week and probably will continue to until I'm penalized for it is Kylan Granson. I mean, 2,700, sure, he only saw 2 targets, but I think you can kind of wipe out that entire game. He saw 7 targets the week before. You know that these Indianapolis tight ends are utilized in the red zone, and there's going to be a day where Granson gets 2 touchdowns.
Sure.
Is it this Sunday? I don't know. There'll probably be a Sunday where I've like moved over to Mo Alley Cox or whatever the case is. But 2,700 and 3,000, either one of these guys, you could consider because they are around the red zone. I don't know. That's kind of how deep I want to go here. Not crazy about it.
All right, Mark, I'm going to put you to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which KC wide receiver is going to get it done for me this week?
Besides Kelsey?
Yeah, he's a tight end.
He's a receiver. I'll go Juju.
Yeah. I like Juju. I mean, they're looking at him. I tend to just kind of stick to Hardman simply because he tends to be super cheap and he tends to be the only guy that has been with Mahomes.
Yeah, and he's kind of the gadget guy. He'll do the end arounds. He'll line up in the backfield. He does all the kind of crazy trick plays. And
I do think it'll be Sky Moore eventually.
Yeah, the problem with Hardman is he's hurt. As we said before, he's all touchdown dependent, right?
Hurt all the time. Yeah.
Well, he's hurt right now. He had limited practice, questionable with a heel injury. I think that this game, you go back to Juju. You hope that. I mean, look, his price is still reasonable.
Yeah.
One of the things about that Chargers team is they are built to stop the pass, and they're basically their entire philosophy is beat Kansas City, right? And their defense is set up schematically to stop a team that has all these different weapons. That's not the case with Indianapolis. Indianapolis doesn't have to play those type of teams within the division. I think Juju ends up with 6 or 7 targets, maybe a little bit more than that. Has an opportunity for a 100-yard game, and until his price kind of reflects what I think his actual role is, I think he's definitely the guy you want to stack if you're not going with Kelsey, and even if you are. I'm just not running it back with a $7,000 Michael Pittman. I know 6,900, but
yeah,
fair enough. All right, let's move on to a game. Look, I want to come visit one of these days, Chris. I want to come hang out with you in the DC area. I want to see the sights. I want to wear a tank top. I want to come and hang out.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold. I mean, you know what I might be able to do if you want, I've got a couple invites to get a suite over in the Baltimore games. I don't have a lot of Washington ones, so you just got to tell me. We'll go to Baltimore.
Okay, well, Baltimore could be good.
We'll get a suite,
I would rather probably watch Baltimore. That's the truth. But what I was trying to get at here is we've got Philadelphia coming to Washington. And if I'm going to come to Washington and hang out with you and go to a Washington game, I mean, you probably want it to be a rivalry game, right?
I mean, perhaps. I just didn't get a lot of sweet ticket offers. I mean, if you want to, I'll be in Michigan. Maybe we can sneak back. I'll be in Michigan. We'll hop on a flight. We'll come out here New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve, rather. I've got I don't know if they're full at this point. I can talk to my DraftKings rep, but we can make a suite in Baltimore work. But let's talk about this game.
Let's talk about it.
This is the game that I think is, we've talked about a couple divisional games that have the potential to absolutely smash, right? Yeah. This feels like the game that people aren't talking about, though. Detroit, Minnesota, we know they both suck on defense. Buffalo, Miami, we know that Buffalo is really good. Philly's looked good. Washington hasn't, but they've both been able to put up points, and their defense not look that great. Like, so, man, there are so many pieces in this game, and they're much more affordably priced than the Buffalo-Miami game. You've got A.J. Brown, who can always be that guy. Terry McLaurin, who nobody's going to own because he's been the least targeted of those Washington wide receivers. You've got Johan Dotson at 4,600. Dude just catches touchdowns. That's it. It's concerning. And then you got Curtis Samuel. Fucking told you guys about Curtis Samuel. Because on some of my best ball teams, you could have gotten this guy so deep because people forgot. They forgot he was good. And it's okay. He played in Carolina. He was overshadowed there. He was hurt for a year. But Wentz is keen in on him. I don't know if they're going to Bible study in the morning, if there's a power of friendship here that we don't know about. But I want pieces of this game from both sides.
Yeah, Hurts has been fantasy gold.
And I actually think people are going to discount Washington here because Philadelphia's dominance over Minnesota, right? But we saw from Detroit, Detroit could score on them. They ran the score up. Granted, it was in the second half, but they are exposable. And I don't know. It's a divisional game. Divisional games always play better. So I agree with Chris. I think this could be a complete smash game. It could go crazy over. I love Jalen Hurts. I think, it's between him and Lamar in my cash lineups this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Hurts at a discount might be a little bit of a better fit. Who Hurts people are kind of comparing him to is kind of Josh Allen. As you look at the career trajectory, they both come in as running quarterbacks that weren't very accurate. They both absolutely sucked in that regard, turnover prone. But Hurts has been better throughout that trajectory, and if he could develop into kind of like a Josh Allen, he could be really, really good. Josh Allen obviously is. You get him at a huge discount. He has better weapons than Lamar to stack with. Not that you need that in cash, but man, yeah, I like it. Now, on the other side of things, though, this is, I think, the first time that Carson Wentz is going to be playing his old team in Philadelphia. He gets to do it at home, but we've had a lot of kind of revenge games that fell kind of flat. Maybe this is the one that turns that tide. I don't know. Could he throw for 300 again?
Look, man, last year people shit on Wentz a lot, and I'm not a huge Wentz guy. I think Wentz makes a lot of mental errors, right, in key moments a lot of times. But the dude was the highest percentage of deep ball completion passes last year in football. He was the best completion rate at 20 yards and over. So is that Terry? Is it just you put Wentz and Terry, you run it back? A.J. Brown, Goddard's been real good.
Well, the other thing is too,
we're
talking about Curtis
Samuel. Guy?
Yeah, we're talking about Curtis Samuel is Slay doesn't shadow, right? He just takes a side. So they'll probably put him on McLaurin, who they don't really change a lot. But Curtis Samuel is the receiver that Washington moves around the formations a lot. He's the one going in motion. He's the one coming in slot. So I can see him having a big game and Wentz hitting him a lot. Really, other than, and I'm not a big fan of Slay at all. Other than him, though, I don't think Philadelphia's secondary is stellar by any means.
Look, here's the deal, man. Slay is a flashy guy. He makes big plays. People throughout his whole career have not been afraid to throw at him. They throw at him constantly because he's the guy that tries to step in front. He tries to grab the ball, and he gives up huge plays. For every one big interception and big play he makes, he gives up huge plays. In fact, just looking at his name right now on my little stat board here, he's been thrown at 20 times this year already.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about how Minnesota, they were just off, right? Cousins was just off. You had cutting the wrong way, running bad routes, and then Slade just takes advantage of it.
Yeah, I think our man Logan Thomas is healthy and ready to play. Chris, we have been Logan Thomas truthers here.
Yeah, I mean it's a different situation here, and there are a lot more weapons, and that was part of it. Is that Logan Thomas was the only weapon, and I don't know. I'm just not as high on him, but 3,500, yeah, you could take a chance. I mean,
It's a good price.
look, the crazy thing about these two teams, and I mean, this is inflated by who they've played, and they have a shared opponent in Detroit, but Washington has the third most plays on average run over the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is number 5. What's crazy is they both played Detroit, and you feel like that is kind of making it jump up. But Detroit's
Right?
number 15,
Yeah.
so a little strange there. And like obviously, like the Cincinnati game week 1 really kind of blows up their total, and the Jets for some reason are up there. But look, that's just a good indication. So when I'm looking at these two teams, and just targeted wide receivers, like man, I think you got to get some parts of this. So I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like Antonio Gibson a lot. The Eagles can't stop the run. He's still in control of that backfield. He's catching passes. He's running the ball. He's their guy right now. His price is still good. Yeah, I'm not paying up for the top running backs until I get super burned by it. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I guess with his price, he's okay, but I was really disappointed with his performance in Detroit. Detroit can't stop the run at all, and they're just not using Antonio Gibson.
Well, I mean, Mark, they didn't. I don't think that Washington played a snap inside Detroit territory the first half of the game. So I mean, it was the ultimate negative script for Gibson.
I guess, but still, when he got the ball, I didn't think he looked all that great.
Yeah, I'm actually reading that right now. The Commanders ran 0 plays in their opponent's territory in the first half. Yeah, zero plays. So I got to believe that that's a unique situation. So I'm still in on Gibson at his price. But anyways, let's move on. Chris, pick a game. I'm tired of picking games. Where do you want to go?
Let's go to
we got
the Las Vegas
2 more 1 o'clock games. Yeah.
Las Vegas, Tennessee. So you have two teams that have one had a lot of high hopes, and the other one maybe had some hopes based off of a great last season. But we've seen Derrick Henry just absolutely just bust. And I have him on one of my teams, and I've never drafted Derrick Henry, but I drafted him this year. And so I'm waiting for that late season resurgence. I think I had him a couple years ago when he blew up for the first time, but ever since he's been in that first round ADP, I've stayed away. I guess I don't have a ton of interest in the guys in this game, with the exception, I think Treylon Burks at 4,900 is seeing quite a bit of work. And I just think that they're going to be in a better position against Las Vegas than they were against Buffalo. You can almost throw that game away. It was in Buffalo. It's a tough situation. They play better in Tennessee. I don't know why the hell Buffalo couldn't have done that last year when it would have won me like $25,000. And that would have been the ideal game for it too. The sweat's over in the third quarter, feeling good, feeling great, instead of what it was and how it happened. And that hurts me a little bit. I guess the bounce back spot is is it a Mac Hollins week or is it Devontae Adams? Who's the true number 1 in Las Vegas?
I tried to get Adams off somebody in every league this week just for fun, just to see what I could pull. I almost got it. A guy that has no running backs, and I sent him Singletary and Deebo Samuel for Adams, and he almost pulled the trigger.
I mean, I would have. If he has no running backs, that's great, man.
Yeah. Almost pulled the trigger. Here's my thought, man. I watched some of this game, and Tannehill looks literally terrified to throw the ball. I don't know what his problem is. He's literally throwing all outs and corners routes, and he's throwing everything against the sideline. It's like he's completely lost confidence in throwing the ball since A.J. Brown is gone.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, he's got nobody to throw to, right? I mean, he's got the great Robert Woods.
I love Trey Burke.
Yeah, I think Treylon Burks is going to be good. He's no A.J. Brown, but this team's going to struggle. At 4,900, that's okay. But Mark, what do you think about Josh Jacobs here at 5,400? This guy's been involved in a majority of the team snaps. He got 19 carries, just wasn't able to get it done. But this Tennessee team, they just aren't who they were. And Josh Jacobs, 5,400, super cheap.
I think it. I don't know. Probably not for me. It's an okay play if you need some savings in the dollar amounts, but I think to exploit Tennessee is the pass on them. Granted, Derek Carr's little flutter balls are going all over the place, but
yeah, I like Josh Jacobs, man. I'm with you on this. Again, man, I love this $5,000 range for the running backs. I have not seen any reason to pay up for running back yet. Jacobs was another guy right there in the zone that I like. Tennessee is a team that can't tackle. They're having a really hard time stopping people on first contact. I think you might be onto something here.
Yeah, just know that there's going to be a week or two where Derrick Henry just absolutely erupts, and like it's going to suck if you don't have him. And I don't think anybody's going to have him this week. So, like if he goes for like 40 points and you have him in your lineup, you're sitting pretty, but you're paying for him. The flip side to that is if he does what more often he's probably going to do, which is not get 24 points, you've put a lot of eggs in a basket that doesn't have a bottom and is now on the floor. Got eggs everywhere. Costco size eggs.
Good thing I love omelets. Just saying.
You'd like omelets on the floor?
Sure, why not?
All right. Well, let's go to this game. Let's get into that 4:00 window.
Wait. We haven't talked about the Bengals and the Jets.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's nothing to talk about. Just pass it on.
That's not true.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon, play him. Michael Carter, sure. T. Higgins, why not? 6,100. Garrett Wilson, 5,400 is probably going to be super popular.
That's why I moved to Corey Davis. He's my salary guy this week.
Okay.
I like Corey Davis.
All right.
Corey Davis is my guy.
So let's talk about this Jacksonville, Los Angeles game.
Thank you for appeasing me. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Jacksonville, Los Angeles. Herbert is, questionable with the rib injury. Keenan Allen is questionable. They both, I think, limited practice. Mike Williams absolutely crushed and has finally supplanted Keenan Allen in pricing, 67 to 65. And then Christian Kirk, a guy that you could just get way too late in your fantasy drafts and best ball drafts, and hopefully you own a lot of them.
I do.
Just absolutely crushing it. I don't think we see another 2-touchdown performance from him this week, but maybe we do. Like this Los Angeles team is going to put up some points. I think this all hinges, and you guys can both correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think that I am. This all hinges on Justin Herbert's health. If he's not healthy, I don't think that there's almost any piece that I want in this game. They're not using Eckler the way that you need to be used if you're 8,000. They continue to run in Joshua Kelly and Sony Michel, and sometimes even in the red zone. You're like, no, you motherfuckers, don't do this. And then like on the other side of things, like you've got James Robinson, electric, coming back from an Achilles like 6 months ago.
Absolutely.
And then you've got a guy that
touched 25 times last week, man.
Bro, like so many people told me this Travis Etienne guy would be good. Like so many people. I heard it everywhere.
And
I was like, I don't know.
Maybe
like,
he's fine.
I don't know, dude. Like,
man, Eckler got 10 targets last week.
Yeah, they were playing Kansas City from behind. Like,
right?
I don't know, man. Like, I just really want to talk about how I don't think Travis Etienne is that good. And I think everybody that's tried to hype him up like he's going to be this, I don't even know what they were thinking that this guy was going to be. I mean, certainly nobody thought James Robinson would play this type of role. But I don't, from what I've seen from Etienne.
Right. How about going back to the Trevor Lawrence play here, Mark? Can you get back on Trevor Lawrence? Can you play a little Christian Kirk? Can you play a little Evan Engram, who's been actually just like middle of the road? Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like Cris. I think we're gonna be avoiding this game depending on Herbert's health. I would think Engram. I like Engram. The Chargers aren't that great against tight ends, and Christian Kirk's going to get targets for sure, but I don't know if he'll be able to score in these corners.
I mean, the thing is, like, Yeah, and this is crazy when you think about it. Like Trevor Lawrence went 25 for 30. This guy has not been an accurate quarterback, not a high completion type of guy. I mean, a week before that was 57%. So he went 25 or 30 against the Colts. What the hell is Patrick Mahomes going to do to those guys? Jumping back to a game. But I think that like there is some allure to Evan Ingram though, right? Like 8 targets last week, 3,700. You're looking for kind of some of those volume guys if he gets into the end zone. But the other big waiver ad and a guy that Danger got onto that just has always been that dude is Gerald Everett. I just don't know if he sees the same type of volume if Keenan Allen's back. So there's a lot of health related concerns on this game that we probably should just move on to another one, seeing that it's Wednesday.
Yeah, Mark, where you want to go in the afternoon, buddy? We got Falcons, Seahawks, we got Cardinals, we got Pack. Where you want to go, bud?
Oh, man, I don't care. This is like the first week that the afternoon games look a lot suckier than the 1:00 games.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Let's just go there. How's that? You're going to be indecisive. I'll just do it for you. This is a shockingly low total for these two squads historically, not necessarily this year. But when you think of an Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady led offense, we have a 42 here with a 2-point favorite in the Bucs at home. Is this game just going to suck? It's going to be a sucky game.
It's going to be so boring. I have no interest in this game at all.
I mean, I think, and that would be my initial thought too, Mark, but like they've got to throw the ball to somebody, right? Like on the Green Bay side of things, you could see A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones get more targets than you probably would expect them to. Alan Lazard at 6,000 is just not something I'm willing to pay.
Too high.
And Aaron Jones at 7,400 is a steep price. Even A.J. Dillon at 6,000 is a steep price because
even I am off Jones this week at that price, buddy.
But I will tell you that there are 2 guys in this game on the other side of things. I think that the offense is a little more spread out and it's a little bit cheaper. So like there's always like the Rashad Perryman effect. Like this dude just catches long touchdowns. He loves playing as a Buccaneer. But the other guy that I don't think that you can forget, and I do believe you probably have some ownership. And this might be one of those like kind of like week 1, but we saw Scotty Miller get 8 targets last week.
Sure.
Scotty Miller is going to get 6 to 8 targets. There's some familiarity there. I'm just really impressed that we're an hour into the show. I can actually pronounce familiarity because I haven't been drinking. It's a tough word to say.
It is. It's difficult.
Yeah, without messing it up, it just feels weird in your mouth. All right, that's a good clip right there.
All right, I'm gonna save that for later. I'm gonna clip that.
You should. It could go with almost anything. But Scotty Miller, I love that play, 3,800. I'm going to have a little bit of a Scotty Miller.
No Cole Beasley for you.
Nah, we only play vaccinated players here. Just kidding.
I'm
Cole
100%.
Beasley still in the league?
Yeah, he just signed Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Too funny, man. Yeah, they're running. I need to be 5K. I need to be in that 5K range for running back. So I'm out on Jones, out on Dillon, out on Fournette, out on this game. I don't want to play it. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to have a single player in it. So you know what to do, Chris. Stack it.
I don't want to stack it, but like I said, I'll take some Scotty Miller. I'm good there.
All right, let's go to a similar 42 as well. 1-point favorite are the Seattle Seahawks at home. The Falcons are a mess. The Seahawks are a mess. This is another game that's a mess. Lockett showed a little bit of life last week. We're still waiting for Pitts to be an NFL tight end. I don't know. I got nothing really. Nothing. I could play Cordero when he's in the right price zone. He's not. I guess you could throw Lockett up there thinking maybe he's made some kind of rapport.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing that I kind of like in this game, though, is Drake London.
Sure.
And Kyle Pitts is the other part. Like, he's cheap enough. There's been this like squeaky wheel. They've talked about it a lot. And like, Arthur Smith is like, oh, we're not playing fantasy football. We're playing to win the game. And like, I'm sure you've seen everybody. Yeah, motherfucker, you haven't won though. That's the thing. Like, that's not working. And maybe Kyle Pitts sucks. And that can be true. Both of these things can be true. But I think this is truly, you can take one or two pieces from each of these teams and put them into your pool, whether it's Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. You wouldn't want both of them on the team. Drake London, again, just actually, I think had 10 targets last week. The question being that, like, in that situation versus week one, this Falcons team played two completely opposite games, one where they were in the lead and lost the lead, and one where they almost came back against a team that we think is pretty decent. This is going to be a game where I think this game stays a lot closer, regardless of whether they're in the lead or behind.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't necessarily know that they throw the ball the way that they did last week. And I think Marcus Mariota is somebody that you could really consider. They're just better options at that price.
Yeah.
The dude does have a ceiling, and we haven't seen it yet. Obviously, a pretty good floor.
I actually like a little bit of Rashad Penny in this game. I might throw one runner on Tyler Algier in this game. And that's it. I got nothing else. I don't want anything else. You could play either defense if you wanted, to be honest. I think either defense is a perfectly fine DFS play.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had Tyler Algier in one of your lineups. I feel like he's one of those guys that you like branded as your guy, and you're just going to be absolutely insufferable if he has a huge week. And
that is true. That is, we don't even have to cut that clip because it's just true. It's just 100% true. Algier's my boy. All right, that's really it, except for the final game, the LA Rams heading to the Arizona Cardinals. Are we going to see Moore back? I haven't really looked. It's only Wednesday. But I think getting Rondale Moore back really helps that team.
He didn't practice.
Yeah, they just look. Kyler is not the man. Okay, he's a good quarterback and he's a good fantasy quarterback, but he needs help. And right now they don't have any help for them. They desperately need Hopkins back. They desperately need Rondale Moore back. I don't know how much interest I have on that side. I think you just keep playing Cooper Kupp again, just like last year. 9,000, 10,000, 11,000. You just put him in. I mean, he's just going to score 38 points a game.
Yeah, I am interested in one component of this game, and I want to see how many people go back to Greg Dortch. Obviously, this is I don't even know who the fuck this guy is, man. I've never heard of this guy in my life.
What's he up to in price?
Like the Eagles or something before? I don't know.
Dortch.
I think he came from the Eagles. Did he come for the Eagles?
He's from Richmond, Virginia, I guess. Signed with the Jets as a free agent.
Jets. Okay. Yeah.
Played for Carolina.
I knew it was somebody in green. Yeah, man.
Bucks,
I mean,
Falcons.
He's playing in a spot where he's being useful. I don't know where the price is.
He's at 4,300 now. And look, I mean, he just like barely got there last week. Like there was a point. This is where I just signed off.
I got that touchdown.
Yeah, I was in a Discord. I was like, I don't know why people played Dortch. He's a stupid play. And then he scores a touchdown, and I got tagged a bunch of times. And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking done.
Yeah, but like touchdowns are that it's great when they happen, right? I mean, it's super great when they happen, but you're not wrong. Like his usage isn't awesome.
I mean, if he didn't get the touchdown, that was like a 20. He wasn't there even in like an overtime game. The guy got 4 targets out of 62 snaps. Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz, there are other parts of this offense that just I think have more realistic ceilings. We saw Marquise Brown with 11 targets. Again, like, look, he was on the field 81 snaps. Dortch was only like 58. So 62, I'm sorry. So obviously not the part of the offense that you would have been led to believe by the 9 targets the week before. I guess the question that you have is like, you're really into this like deep, cheap running back pool. Let's say James Conner misses. You've got 2 there, Darrell Williams at 5,100 and Eno Benjamin at 47. Are you going to dip your toes into either one of those?
I could.
I know you could. I just want to know if you are.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like Eno Benjamin. I like that price point a lot. I'm not paying up for a running back until I'm forced to. I'm 0 RB, DFS, seasonal. I'm playing cheap. I'm playing loose and cheap. So yes, I'll probably anybody that has a role under $5,000 is getting in the lineup for me this week.
Well, what about Tyler Higbee? 4,500.
Yeah, he's fine.
Most targeted tight end in the league.
Yep.
11-9.
Uh-huh.
All right.
I mean, basically, they're triple covering Cooper and just letting everybody else run, and it's helping him. I am a cheap tight end player, though. I play cheap, so I don't know. I like him a lot. I just usually go cheap.
One final thing about the slate that I think is different than what we see from a week-to-week basis is there's not like a chalk defense, right?
Yeah.
There's not like an incredibly cheap defense that you can go to. There are a lot of defenses under 3K, though, like Green Bay's at 2,800. You could go Seattle 27. You can even go Houston 26 or Carolina 26, but beyond that, everything 25 and under is not in favorable matchups.
Well, yeah. I'll throw this out there. Based on Herbert's availability, I love Jacksonville at 2,300.
Well, the problem with that, Mark, is that if that is the case, there'll be possibly the chalk defense, and you can't play the chalk defense. You just can't. You
can.
Can't.
Yeah,
no,
you
can't.
Yes,
no, you can't.
Can.
No,
defense doesn't freaking matter.
But there's no correlation between the chalk defense and ownership, or ownership and a defense's actual results. And we saw it with Cincinnati last week. So what I'm saying is that it's just a huge gap there. You just can't play the chalk defense. You just can't. It's not.
I don't think there's
a bad idea.
There's no correlation to any defense with winning either. It's just
they are the third highest scoring fantasy
shit defense and load up on other positions.
Yeah,
or you play a good defense.
I mean, look, man. They. I mean, granted, one was against the Colts in a terrible game, but they've scored points at least. The Bengals haven't scored points. I don't know. I'm pretty much set on playing Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Falcons, or Seahawks. That's just kind of where I'm at so far.
I think the weird spot that you could play, though, the one that kind of makes a little bit of sense is like a Philadelphia, 2,900 against Washington. If they get out to a lead, Washington's throwing the ball a lot. You see a lot of situations similar to what you saw on Monday night. If they're throwing the ball a lot, that means that there's more opportunities for strip sacks, fumbles, interceptions, run backs. That's a spot that I think I kind of like it. Or maybe you pay out for Cincinnati. They suck at defense, but the Jets are really bad, and that's like a failure week, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, I got nothing else, man. Mark, what do you want to rant about? I feel like we should start a Mark. This is what really grinds my gears segment to end the show tonight.
I don't really have anything to grind my gears on right now.
Oh man, you clearly haven't watched the new Star Wars show then.
That's gonna be awesome. What are you talking about?
No, I'm super excited about it. You usually poo-poo it all, so.
I do not.
No, it's true.
I do not.
One of these days during the off season in football, we're going to start this Mark Hates Everything podcast.
I don't hate everything.
I have photographic evidence to the contrary.
Well, why don't you Mark hates stuff that other people love?
There you go.
The problem is that I only post on social media when I'm mad. I need to start posting when I'm happy.
Fair enough. All right, guys. I love you guys. I missed you the first 2 weeks, and I'm sorry it was kind of a low energy evening. I feel like next time, instead of an Oktoberfest, I'm going to crank like a 32-ounce Monster instead.
It's fine.
We're good. Out there. Just throwing it out there. Cris, you've been really silent. I keep trying to goad you into this zero RB discussion. What's your deal?
Why would you goad me into it?
Because like running backs have sucked so far first 2 weeks. Is that going to continue?
I mean, probably not, but like I went like zero RB a lot. Like,
yeah. I just thought you'd argue with me. I like to think about things I'm going to say during the show just to see when you're going to argue with me, and I'm usually right. And I feel like you didn't give it to me this time.
Well, I'm sorry. Like I have teams like, I just stacked up. Like I went zero RB in a standard scoring league. I got Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Mike Evans. Ended up with Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, Singletary. I got Jalen Waddle too. That's the infamous Brian Robinson team. So,
yeah,
I'm just hoping for a little bit of love from some of these guys here. Got a lot of Las Vegas guys on my team, and maybe I need to trade away a Devontae Adams. Maybe I need to do that. But we're 1-1. We're 3rd out of 5. So, I think I'm in the can't trade division is what it is, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
I'm one of those guys that you're not allowed to trade with because they pay attention, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I hate when that happens. All right, guys. Well, best of luck this week in DFS and your seasonals. You can check out Cris and Mark and I over at drroto.com. You can check us out on our own Draft Rep side, Patreon, and Discord. You can check us out helping out over at Fantasy Football Blueprint. You can check us out over at the Sports Empire Network. You can check us out on iLogic Network. Gosh, we're everywhere, Mark. We're everywhere.
We are.
We're everywhere you want to be. How many days till hockey, Mark?
Training camps are this weekend, and then 3 weeks of preseason.
I like it. The way that Chris Emick blew up with League of Legends last year is the way that Mark Larson is going to blow up with hockey DFS this year. I'm predicting it now.
And I had a good year last year, so I hope I improve on it.
I dig it. All right, guys. Johnny Danger with Bree Mark and the Hierarchy himself. We will catch you next time.